Hey there, invisible students. This is Dr. Sester here, your instructor for our Introduction to Statistics class. So welcome aboard. This is probably the first time you're viewing one of these videos. It's usually the first one you would watch. So we are here in Module 0, getting introduced to the material. We're going to do a little overview of that. The videos will mostly run like this. We're going to kind of go through some slides. I have a board in the background that usually has a little bit of information, but nothing essential. Here we've just got a welcome message and some formulas that are going to become your friends over the next 5 weeks. One note about that, by the way, there's about a 90% chance I'd say I'm going to knock that over by accident at some point over the course of these videos. So my sincere promise to you is that in the name of entertainment, if I do that, I will not re-record that video, and you get to see whatever awkwardness results from that. So I don't know, maybe something to look forward to if the content isn't cutting it. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started discussing how we are going to structure this course and the syllabus in particular. So first, you're in Module 0 now. There are several videos in Module 0, each one of which introduces you to a different aspect of the class. Here we're talking about the syllabus, which we'll get to in just a moment. There are also videos on navigating the course Blackboard page, how to access your textbook and homework through what we call the MindTap system, how to take quizzes and exams. This one's really important if you haven't taken an online class before. It's a little bit different. There is one on some things that I mix into the course material called Points of Emphasis, or POES, for Future Service, or FFS, and Tips for Success, and basically how we emphasize different points in the material so you have a little bit more sense of what to pay attention to or what's more important. And then there is a final introductory video on the big ideas, basically the major concepts or the philosophy that underlies a lot of the stuff we're talking about. Why are we doing what we're doing? What's the point of it? What is sort of the basic rationale behind all the stuff we're going to learn over the next several weeks. There's also a lot of other supplemental material in there. The course Blackboard page video will walk you through a little bit of that as well, but there's lots of useful stuff in there, especially if this is your first time through. You really want to familiarize yourself with how we're doing what we're doing. So there's tech assistance in there. There's some stuff about navigating the class. There's some online etiquette stuff, which is hopefully won't come up too terribly much. So anyway, moving on to the syllabus. The syllabus is, of course, a summary of what the course is and how it's going to work, and it's especially important in a class like this where we're not actually seeing each other face to face in all likelihood. So first, I'm going to give you the highlights of the syllabus, and the reason why is that the first rule of the syllabus is you need to read the syllabus. Go download the syllabus and read the whole thing. Here's how you find it. It's on Blackboard, and it's under syllabus. It should be easy to remember. So go download that, get some of that information. Again, there's a lot of useful stuff in there for figuring out how things are going to work. So you really need to review that syllabus as soon as you can. I am going to give you some highlights here. We have a textbook called Essentials of Statistics for the Behavioral Sciences. In all likelihood, you are buying an ebook. You do need to buy the version with the access code in order to get access to the online resources. Some of you will notice that it's going to also ask you for a course code if you have logged on early. There is a course code available. It's in the Using Cengage and MindTap area of Module 0. It's in both the text of that little item, and it's in the document you can download that gives you general instructions for how to use the system. So you're going to need that to access our specific course materials. Also go to that video if you want to see a little bit about how that stuff is going to work. I do have office hours. So office hours, first of all, the easiest way to contact me is via email. The only thing I'll say about email is I'm a little slower to respond over the weekend. But weekdays, I generally respond within 24 hours. Weekends, it might be more like, it might be the next business day, or it might be, Sunday night when I get a chance to do it. I also have open office hours via Skype. We're going to utilize some webcam tech and that sort of stuff, video calls. And so there is some information there about my Skype contact that you can see down here. I will be here every weekday, barring an emergency, from 11 to 1, and you can just kind of dial in and say hello, and we can kind of have something closer to a real human conversation here. I also have an extra hour. For those of you the midday doesn't work, I have an extra hour in the afternoons, Tuesday and Wednesday. Don't really try it outside of those hours. I mean, I suppose you could try if it was an emergency, but the odds are very good that I'm not going to be logged on and that my webcam won't even be plugged in. So you really want to hit those hours. Otherwise, send me an email or make a post in our discussion section, which we'll talk about in one of our later videos. A lot of people are concerned about the grades. Statistics is known as a difficult course, and so you want to make sure that you position yourself to get the most points you possibly can. Here's how the grading works. there's going to be 100 points in the class that is going to consist of your average score on a series of homework assignments. There are homework assignments attached to every chapter, which is itself linked to different modules. So those homework assignments are administered through the MindTap system. And let me tell you something a little bit about that. Some of you more eagle-eyed folks will notice when you queue up the next video that I'm dressed differently and my hair is longer. I had to go back and reshoot this. And the reason why is that we've moved over to this MindTap system a semester earlier than I expected. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to navigate that, but it is a new system for everybody, including me. For now, in terms of your grading, one of the biggest problems is that, unlike our previous system, I'm having trouble deleting items that cover material that I don't cover in the lectures themselves. So there's stuff in the book that goes beyond what we talk about here, and there are questions in the homework on that. So to kind of account for that or give a buffer for that, I'm instituting what I call my 90-10 rule. The 90-10 rule is this: if you complete 90+% of the assignments over the course of the session, you do have until the very last day, but don't do that, but you do have that long. But if you complete 90+% of those assignments by the end of the session, I will add 10% to your final homework grade. It still can't take you over 100%, but it'd be like getting an extra letter grade added on there and getting a boost to your score in the course. So keep working, keep chipping away at that homework assignments, and again, I will give you a little bit of a benefit for that, just to account for the fact that there are some questions just for book-only stuff. Not that many, but there are some. You also are going to have 5 quizzes. Normally I would give these quizzes in class, but again, because it's an online course, it's a little harder to do sometimes. These quizzes are all going to be take-homes. So at the end of certain modules that you see, it's going to say, here's a quiz that's going to be taken for a grade. Download this, put your answers in it, upload it. There's more on this in the Taking Quizzes and Exams folder. But you can take those by the end of the semester, but you really, really, really want to take those in advance of taking the exams. There also are 3 exams. Each one is worth 100 points. Each one covers a portion of the course, usually about 4 modules worth. And those need to be taken by the end of the semester as well. This is a self-paced class, but again, you do not want to push those back. I will tell you, self-paced courses are really beneficial for people that have irregular schedules, but my big, huge concern is that people are going to wait too long to complete this stuff. They're going to try to sprint through it by the end of the semester. Don't do that. If I'm worried about it, imagine how worried you ought to be. You're the one who's going to get the grade at the end. So make sure that you are pacing yourself in taking those exams and taking those quizzes, and that you are progressing really regularly and you don't find yourself having to scramble. That is a recipe for things going really badly and potentially having to just take the course again. There's also a cumulative final that's worth 1.5 times as much as those exams. It covers everything in the entire course. That is only given on the final exam day, which is Friday of our last week of classes. So that can only be given during that 24-hour period. You cannot take it at any other point. It's just like an in-person final exam. You got to be there the day that it's due. So look that up. Make sure that that time is set aside for you and that you're available to take it. Overall, that adds up to 600 points total in the course. Sometimes people ask about, can we get extra credit? The answer is yes, but maybe not as much as I would normally be able to give. So you can see the syllabus for some instructions on how to do that. Basically, a big part of it is participating in psychology studies for credit. The downside is there aren't that many of them in the summer. I can't guarantee how many will be there, how many points will be there for you. There's also some instructions for getting some in-class extra credit by doing some additional tasks by the end of week 1, and you can see the end of the Big Ideas video for how to do that. There are 2 of those assignments in total, and you can gain several points in the course by taking them. The other thing I want to draw your attention to is the schedule. Now, this is a self-paced class, so we don't really follow a schedule in the way an in-person class would. But here's the reason why it's so important. First, it will connect your modules to your chapters. It tells you which chapters of the book go with which modules of the online stuff, which helps. But most importantly, it also gives you a pacing guide. It tells you what dates you ought to have completed the first, second, and third exam by. So really adhere to those. If you are falling behind, you are going to want to speed up to catch up. It's better to be rushing in week 3 to catch up than rushing in week 5 to get everything done at the last second. Again, that's my biggest concern about how people can kind of flub this course, is by pushing everything back because of that self-pacing. So look at that pacing guide. Try to take the exams by the dates listed on there or earlier, especially that first unit. There's a lot of pretty easy stuff in the first unit. If you go through it a little quicker, that'll give you more time to kind of go through the more difficult material in Unit 2 and Unit 3. Anyway, that's all I've got for now in the syllabus. There's lots of other good stuff in there as well, so make sure that you download it and review it carefully at some point in the first couple days of the course, ideally before you even start it. So that's all we've got for this video. Now we will move on to the second video where I'll be discussing how to navigate the course Blackboard page. See you there.